In this video, I'm going to be explaining what the next steps are now that you've decided to buy a property. The moment that you say, yes, let's buy this property, the next step, long story short, is that you need to sign a contract to sale. Some states call it an offer and acceptance document, so it's one of those two. Now that you made the decision, exciting movement to basically try to buy the property that we've either gone through or you've gone through with my team, you need to complete a DocuSign link, which basically it starts and initiates the process for you trying to actually buy the property, and it puts it in paper, it puts it in writing. So just because you've verbally said, yep, let's buy this property, we're not out of the woodwork yet. There's a lot of work to do and there's a long, tedious process ahead. But basically from the moment that you say, yep, let's buy this property, I will then instruct the team to get in contact with you as soon as possible. And they will start prepping up a DocuSign link. All the forms that you need to complete, whether it's a contract to sale for the property, is done by DocuSign. They will input your buying entity details name, so your first, middle, last name, or if you're buying in a self-managed super fund or a company or a trust, they will put that actually on the document so it's ready to go. All you'll basically need to do is open up the property document, whether you get by DocuSign, you can do it on the run, you can do it on a phone, laptop, computer, it's very simple. Basically, you'll get the DocuSign link, it'll pop through hopefully within the next few hours. When you open it up, should you have any questions, you'll also get a call during that time when it actually gets sent through from the team. One of the team members will give you a call, introduce themselves, because they'll be your point of contact to take you through the next initial steps to try to physically secure the property in writing. They will introduce themselves, explain the next steps a little bit more thoroughly. When we've spoken on the phone, I probably might have already explained some of this already, but this is just a video to show you and have it in writing about the next step so you can always reflect on it. Basically, they'll walk you through the DocuSign contract to sale if need be. If you haven't bought a property before, if you have any questions, when you open up the DocuSign on your phone or on your laptop or on your computer, and if you have any questions, they will give you a call. They might be calling from one of their direct office mobile numbers, so you don't have to call the 1300 number and go all the way through the channels again. It'll either be Natalia, Maisha, or Asif, or maybe even Sarah, or one of the other team members that call you. You'll always have their direct office work mobile as well. So should you have any questions when you're going through the DocuSign, they can guide you through it. They've done hundreds, if not thousands before. That's basically the first step. You need to complete the DocuSign link. Just because you've verbally accepted doesn't mean that it's locked in or anything like that. Now you need to complete the DocuSign. So once the contract to sale or the offer document is completed, we then need to send it to the seller for them to sign as well. This may take between 24 hours, it could take sometimes up to 4 to 5 days. It really depends on the seller's situation. A brief example of that, the seller could be a husband and wife. They might be going through, a divorce or something like that. They might need their conveyancer or solicitor to give them written instructions for it. So there's 1,000 different things that can happen, but basically we need to get them to sign offer and acceptance or contract within the next 4 or 5 days. When it's sent through to the seller as well, we'll also CC your mortgage broker, and if you're using the finance team or if you're using someone else, we'll try to get their details off them prior to that as well. We will include your finance, mortgage broker, or whatever bank you're going with, the contact who you're using for finance, they will be included in the emails. The reason we do this is that if you are basically going through our finance team, then it'll alert them to the fact that you're trying to buy this property. Then they will reach out to you within usually the next 48 hours, if not sooner. We do that to keep everyone on the same page, and it actually saves you time having to call them up or message or email them and say, hey, I've just signed a contract trying to buy this property with Eddie and the team there. They'll be included in all that. And the moment that the seller signs the contract, then we've actually secured the property for a period of 21 to 28 days. I might have explained this to you already, but basically in all the purchases that we go, or in all the properties that we go to purchase, there'll always be a 21 to 28 day finance clause and a pest and building clause and other due diligence clauses, which basically mean this keeps you safe throughout the process. If something were to go wrong during that 21 day, 28, it can be extended as well. So don't get too worried or nervous or anxious about, you're worried about there being a delay with your bank or finance person or conveyancing, or if you're going overseas on a holiday. Many clients have done that. They've signed a contract and they've gone away overseas for 2 weeks. Everything can be done via email, over the phone, and everything will be fine. We can always get those extra extensions. I've personally seen properties that were meant to settle in like 45 days, they've got extended 3 or 4 times, and it literally took 3 months for it to finally settle. 99% of the time, you can always get extensions without any issues. Now that the seller signed the contract, you will then get an email from us. The team will get in contact with you and alert you to the fact now that the seller signed, congratulations, we're underway officially. You'll get an email with the step-by-step process. So there's 30 to 40 different steps involved. I'm only going to cover a few here today, but it'll break down exactly. Now you have to pay, you've got on average about a week to pay the holding deposit for that property. So it could be as little as 1,000, it might be as much as 3,000 or 5,000, but that initial holding deposit basically just holds that property during that 21, 28 day period. If you needed to pull out under finance or pest and building, which is rare, but if that needed to happen, or if any major issues did occur, that is refundable under those clauses. So by paying the 1,000, 3,000 or 5,000 for the actual property deposit, if anything were to go wrong, you would get that back. So there's no real risk throughout the entire process. During this process as well, when you're completing the DocuSign, the conveyancers or solicitors will be the one that actually reviews the contract at the same time. So they will be like CC'd in the emails as well. In Queensland and WA, it's very different to New South Wales and Victoria. So if you're watching this video for the first time, you're probably wondering, well, that's very different to New South Wales, because usually the conveyancer or solicitor goes through the contract 3 different times and speaks with the seller's solicitor prior to them actually signing and then agreeing on it and then signing it. But in Queensland and WA, because you've got those due diligence clauses, finance, pest and building, and they don't really go off the cooling off periods like they do in New South Wales, Queensland and WA are very much more pro buyer, and it's more lenient for a buyer to exit a contract and terminate if there was any issues. So that's why most conveyancers and solicitors don't generally get involved as much prior to contract signing in Queensland or WA, because you've got more outs, there's less risk than there is in New South Wales. You've got longer finance clauses, longer cooling off periods, longer pest and building clauses and everything. We'll then, during that time, we'll also introduce you to the conveyancers / solicitors that we recommend you to, or you can find your own if you would like to. However, if you're gonna find your own, and if you're located, as an example, in New South Wales or Victoria, if you're buying a property right now, or you're trying to buy a property through us and go through the process, and it's either in Queensland or WA, bear in mind you will likely not be able to use whoever you're using, because 99% of conveyancers or solicitors that are in your state of Sydney or Melbourne, they're usually only registered for acting in that state, because all states have different terms and laws and everything like that. 99% of the clients would usually just go through the recommendations who I've used hundreds of times, clients have used, and everything like that, because they're actually registered in multiple states: Sydney, Queensland, WA, Adelaide, etc. So they're a very rare type of solicitor that can act in all different states and is very up to date with all the different legislation in every state. They will basically reach out to you usually within the first week, worst case 2 weeks. They will introduce themselves. They might ask for solicitors or conveyancers. They will ask for verification of identity, copies of your driver's license, passports, all that kind of stuff. And you'll generally have to complete a little DocuSign to just, acknowledge that you allow them to work as the conveyancer solicitor for you to try to buy this property. The next step of the process, basically, once it's come back, once you've paid your deposit, once you've got the email and everything in writing, you'll also get like PDFs with little videos like this that you can watch and try to educate yourself. And that way, if you're unsure about anything, you can just refer to the videos or the step-by-step process. There's even a flow chart, like a PDF, that basically shows the process from step by step to finish. Moving forward from that, the team here will automatically book in a pest and building inspection, usually later on that week or the following week, because we usually have 14 to 21 days to organize a pest and building inspection. So we will automatically do that for you. You don't have to worry about calling up trying to find a random pest and building inspector. We will do that for you. They will then usually email you through the invoice for the pest and building inspection. Usually that varies. It would have been included in the initial email that has the standard costs. Usually, depending on the property type, how many bedrooms, it could vary. vary that invoice between $450 to like $700, but the average is about $500. Common question is, if for some reason you terminated, unfortunately that's a cost that you wouldn't get back, but usually, thankfully, it's only $500, and 99% of properties go through without any major issues, so you likely wouldn't need to pull that anyway. Once that's essentially booked in, we will organize a time, because there's a lot of running around that goes behind the scenes, but we'll coordinate with the seller side. We'll organize for the pest and building inspector to go out there and actually get inside the property, because legally you have to give the tenants notice, between 1 to 3 days notice, for them to allow a pest and building inspector to go through the property, etc. There's certain like laws that you can't just have them rock up there on the day and go through the property right away. We'll coordinate all that. Once the pest and building is completed, you'll get a 40 to 50 page document that basically has a bunch more photos. So there'll be photos inside, outside, usually them standing on the roof, looking, taking photos of the gutter, the condition, checking for structural issues, termite issues, all that kind of stuff. You'll get the report emailed through to you. Then one of the team will also give you their guidance and any recommendations, and will always be a phone call away. You can then also contact the pest and building inspector yourself if you would like to, and they can very easily guide you through the report. We can do this as well because we've gone through many reports before, so we can give you that guidance. So either myself or one of the team members can guide you through that report very, very easily. At the same time as the pest and building, or slightly after, the finance team or the mortgage broker who you would go with needs to lodge the application for the finance. So the moment the actual contract comes back from the seller side and it's dated, the clock is ticking. So you've got to make sure, and if you're using our brokers, this will be a lot more streamlined, but if you're using your own broker or your own finance person, you've got to basically make sure that they've actually lodged the application for the finance. So they would have shown you, 2 to 3 different banks with different interest rates and, various things. Then you've got to, essentially go pick the bank that you want to essentially start the process and do the application for. The brokers might ask for a couple new pay slips, statements, all that kind of stuff. They would likely have all that stuff already, but sometimes because the time frame between when you originally completed that broker form all the way to when you were buying a property, a month or 2 might have passed, so they might need updated pay slips, of course, from the bank. We will be there every step of the way, be in contact with you on average between every 3 to 4 days. You'll get an email from one of the team, a phone call. We're only a phone call away, and we'll just take it step by step from the start to the finish. After the finance is approved, after the pest and building is approved, and you're happy and satisfied with that, if anything were to go wrong with those two, of course, again, you can pull out, you'd get a refund and move on to the next property. But that being said, 99% of them go through without any major issues. Once the pest and building and the finance has been done, the team will then reach out and let you know the next steps. This will also be in the original email, so you'll kind of know what's coming, hopefully. They'll reach out, they'll also introduce you to the property managers. You'll get then a DocuSign link with a property management form. The team will be able to guide you through this should you have any questions. It's very easy though. All the places are set in the DocuSign for you to complete. All you have to do is fill in your name, click through initial signature. It's quite easy, but they can guide you through it should you have any questions. Property management form basically allows the property manager the right to be able to collect the keys, make sure you're getting the rent right away. So completing that property management form is really, really important. If you want to receive your rent right away from the moment the property settles, you need to complete the property management form right away to ensure that happens without any delay. They can guide you through it again. If you have any questions about it, you can call the team in the DocuSign that you will receive. There will be a number down there. You can even reply to the email and ask any questions that way if you prefer that. But once the property management form is completed, then also the team will guide you, and everything will be in these emails as well. So you'll need to organize landlord insurance or even building insurance. If it's a townhouse or unit, you don't generally need building insurance because the building insurance is usually incorporated in the body corporate or the strata. If it's a standalone house, then you definitely need building insurance right away. The recommendations that we have will be in the emails. Usually Terry Shear is the best for, the company called Terry Shear is the best for landlord insurance. Other building insurances, you can use Terry Shear or Budget Direct or any other ones that are out there, but all this will be in the emails every step of the way. So once the landlord insurance has been completed, once you've set up your landlord insurance successfully, the next steps after that is to sign your loan documents. Now, your mortgage broker, your bank will take you through this behind the scenes. That's between you and them to essentially do. And it'll be inching closer and closer every week, every day towards the settlement. The average settlement is usually around 45 days. days. By this stage, it would likely be after finance, pest and building, and landlord insurance, you'd probably be at day 30. There might literally be 2 weeks where we're just waiting for settlement. As long as you sign your loan documents, which your brokers will guide you through that, settlement would be booked in on a particular day, and that's when the property actually changes hands and becomes yours. So the property manager will organize, if it's managed through someone else, if it's managed through the seller or privately, they will organize during that time to actually collect the keys once the property is settling. So the day of settlement, they'll be there to collect the keys, touch base with the tenant, and then they'll do a routine inspection report after that, usually within the first few months. So you'll get an updated routine report when the property actually becomes yours as well. But basically after that, the property is settled, the property is now yours. Congratulations, and hopefully this video has helped a little bit. Again, this will all be broken down. You'll have the email step-by-step process, but this is just a real quick video to explain the process of once you're happy to try to buy a property. Thanks for watching, see you in the next video, bye for now.